Hello my friends, it's your friend Kevin, and this video is about how and why I chose the various oracle decks and tarot decks I use for readings. Yeah, all of these beautiful there's a lot of them. And I suppose for some folks it might be a little bit weird, like why have so many? Um, for some of you that are maybe into or just starting out in readings and doing readings, this might not make much sense, but for me it does. Let's start with the basics, I think. The difference between oracle and tarot. Tarot is built on what I believe is a spiritual system, if you will. 22 major arcanas and 44, I think something like that, minor arcana. 4 suits in the minor, 14 cards in each, plus the court cards, or including the court cards, I should say. Each suit representing different elements, and then the 22 major representing significance. Now, for me, the major arcana goes from 0 up to 21 and sort of follows a journey of life. I wasn't necessarily a fan of what I call traditional tarot cards. Let me show you the very first deck I ever acquired, which is very special to me. This box, these beads, and these cards belonged to a friend of mine who I met at a psychic fair, gosh, probably 1994, 1995. He gave, or his sister gave them to me when he passed. He's now one of my spirit guides on the other side. Oddly enough, when I opened this box of cards that she gave me, he had one of my initial Soul Path Connection business cards in it, along with a business card from another psychic that's in spirit. Anyway, I digress. This is the traditional tarot, the Rider-Waite. This Rider-Waite deck, or the Rider Tarot deck, is actually not my favorite, and I tend not to use it. I find some of the images a little too dark, and then there was this controversy over the publisher putting their name on the deck as opposed to the creator, and I'm just not into that kind of shady energy. Plus, it's got cards among the deck that I didn't care for, and I'll get into that in a minute. So let's start with Oracle. So the Oracle decks have a way of being able to allow readers to use their intuitive skills and get really free and creative with the images, almost as if a painter gets creative with a palette of paint. A little bit of blue, a little bit of green, mixing some of this, mixing some of that to get the color to create the texture on whatever canvas they're painting. It's very similar to Oracle decks. There's a reason why I chose what I chose and then added to the collection. So the first deck I ever bought and used was Wisdom from the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron-Reid. Now this deck is still available through Hay House, Amazon, or even go to Colette Baron-Reid's website. You can find it. Most Oracle decks have 44 cards. So right off the bat, they're easier to handle, easier to shuffle. And I was of the original thought pattern that you had to memorize and know by heart every single card. Well, that's true in part, but now I know that can sometimes get in the way. Certainly, the creator of oracle decks have an essence, and they're typically guided to create each card, each image, as in a certain order and purpose. What's beautiful is that as you use these cards to tune into your intuition to actually land a reading, either for yourself, for friends, whether you're professional or you just do this for fun, as you use these images and you're mixed with your intuition, it's rather strange or interesting how the author's intent with each image comes through. So oftentimes I discovered that I just would go with the message, place the card in the position, and each one of these decks has a guidebook that tell you what their positions are, what the positions mean. You get the context of here's what the card means and here's where it places in your life or in your journey or in your reading, and you just go with it. What I discovered was when I would go back and read the description or what the author chose, they were very similar. So what I like about Oracle is you can get creative, but it does require the reader, you, just get a bit creative, have a free license. Now, when it comes to being attracted to them, that's again very personal. I don't know if there's right or wrong. Some people are attracted to the author and their work and how they work. That's me. After Colette Baron Reid, during lockdown, I was bored looking on YouTube, found a YouTube about a talk show in England, and they were interviewing Kyle Gray, talking about his angel work. He took on one of the panelists in a very classy but truthful way. The panelist was trying to discount his ability to talk with angels. She didn't really see the validity in it, almost as if she was not believing what he was saying, thinking, or doing. And Kyle Gray had a very professional, classy way of answering, which I felt like, wow, this is somebody who knows what they're talking about, knows what they're doing. Hence, I signed up for his course on Hay House, which then led me to purchase my first deck of Oracle, or second deck of Oracle cards, Angel Guide Oracle. I got these. The colors and the images just spoke to me. As I opened each one of them up and went through them, there was something I got from each one. Like, I know these paintings, I felt very drawn to them. Then I realized that he was speaking about creating a mega deck between this deck and another Oracle deck. So the second deck I bought was Angel Prayers Oracle, which has information and cards all about the archangels. I knew very little about archangels, so that course spoke to me. I knew the main four, Ariel, Uriel, Michael, and Raphael, but not the rest of them. Certainly had no idea of realizing there were lots more. But Angel Prayers really is a study of the archangels, prayers to the archangels, and then some. I mean, there are other energies in here. For example, one of them is study and learning. But then we have Archangel Raziel, which to me is like a mad magician. And then you've got Archangel Raphael, the divine physician. So this was like studying of the archangels. So for someone who's doing a reading, well, then here we go, another message. Thank you, angels, for guiding me to love and meditation. Not so much an archangel, just a little prayer that's, saying thank you for this spiritual guidance. For those that look for spiritual guidance from the archangels, then the angel prayers would speak to them. It would be one, I would say, that's a good deck to use and to follow. Now, the other thing I'll say is there's no right or wrong way to choose a deck. You shouldn't, use a deck that you want to use a deck that you like using. For people who aren't really sure how to read, what to read, when to read, my recommendation would be Angel, Guide, Oracle. Few angels in here, very easy, very quick to pick up, and very simple to get going, get some momentum. Biggest thing for me was it helped me with my confidence to do readings. That was one. Two, it was a lovely segue into moving, getting my intuitive abilities, my mediumship abilities to land for the person I'm doing a reading for. So I was able to ground and land. It was like turning the internal light on, something physical, something tangible that we could get into, especially when we were doing readings over Zoom, not in person. Another deck, another Oracle deck, again by Kyle Gray, was Angels and Ancestors. This is a bit more involved. This one involves symbolism, guardians of light, fire, water, earth, and the ancient ones, the spiritual ones. The Druid is in here. Quite a few others are in here. So this is a little more involved. This is the closest deck of Oracle cards that Kyle Gray made that gets close to a tarot type of journey. Keepers of the Light I really like because it talks about divine masters, Saint Germain, the Miriams, quite a few in here, which are divine masters, ascended masters, whatever you want to call them. They are the ones that were in physical form that ascended into spirit and are known for the helpful ways they help those of us still here to do our work. I'd say this is an excellent deck for people who are already following a spiritual pathway and are looking for even more guidance from their spirit guides. This deck has helped me tune in to the ancestors and past spirits of loved ones. So I like, these are like my buddies, my friends. Now, you can also connect with the archangels of the angel prayers, and you can create a mega deck. There's a spiritual mega deck, archangels, and then the ascended masters. Put those together and you have a super deck. Let's see what else. Gateway of Light activation is Kyle Gray's new ones. Why was I interested in the? Well, I wasn't sure, but this deck goes into the various different realms of existence outside Earth, like the Lemurians, the lost city of Atlantis, and all of those portals and gateways that bring all beings from all galaxies together. I haven't done that many readings with this. I have to say it is one of those that is over here that has me thinking I'm interested in using these more. I'm just not sure where they fit. So I'm going to be honest. I'm a novice when it comes to this particular deck, and I am interested in learning more and getting a little more confident with it. Let's see, is there any more in here? Oh yeah, so now I'm going to move over to the other author I like to study with, and that is Radley Valentine. Radley Valentine primarily is the creator of Angel Tarot decks, but he did make an Angel Answers Oracle deck, which I love because this is like having 4 separate decks in one. Again, 44 cards with artwork by Marius Michael George. Easy to understand. All of these have a really easy to understand guidebook. Now, Hay House produces all of these. I didn't choose Hay House for any other reason other than it simply was where my particular teachers had their stuff. I'm sure Llewellyn, Collins, other publishing houses have tarot decks and oracle decks that are equally as fabulous. I just haven't used any of them. But what I can say about Hay House is their proofreading people and their publishing people do a really, really good job of producing guidebooks that are easy and simple to understand and use. I am not one who wants to study forever. I want to take a quick look, get tuned in, and get right to it. In other words, I'm not a big fan of waffle. Not waffles the food, but waffling on about nothing in particular. So, angel answers. What this appealed to me because, again, so simple. You have a set of cards that really talk about timing, and they've got these gold borders. Then you have a deck of cards that are really into angel messages, and they've got a blue border to them. And then you've got a deck of cards that is simply, let's see, no, the angel messages are purple. Where are the ones? There's some in here that are yes and no, the timing ones. Okay, here, I think this is these. Reconsider, it's unlikely. These are quick answer cards. These are quick answers for should I do this or should I do that? But here's it go. You've got a yes card. Whoops. There, yes. And then a no. But there are 2 yeses and 2 no cards. And what I like about yes, yes, no, no is they are all 4 different colors. If that makes sense. Blue, magenta, green, and violet. That follow along with the others if you want them to. Then we've got another one, don't stop. There's something better. New direction, unlikely, reconsider. So these cards were really designed for people who said, I want a quick, no nonsense answer to my question where I don't have to pull a pattern or I don't have to learn how to do a Celtic cross or any of those. This deck is really great for new people who aren't necessarily readers. They just want, like I said, quick answer. So let's move into tarot. Tarot was a system of card reading that I really wasn't into, really couldn't get my head around. It seemed like too many suits, too many meanings, and complicated. And I think now that I know that I'm not a fan of Rider-Waite or the traditional tarot, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't really fond of a card that talked about death. I wasn't really fond of a card that brought in the devil. And I really thought some of the images were just dark and heavy. Evidently, so did Radley Valentine when he created his first deck of angel card tarot. And for me, combining the word angel and angelic with the somewhat deep and dark system of tarot seemed odd. Odd enough for me to dip in and want to know more. Well, there are, or have been, much manipulation in the way that these original tarot decks were created. So in the very, very beginning, tarot was known as Tocci and it came out of Italy. And then somewhere along the line, the French got involved and they decided that they were the creators of tarot. And they were originally paintings and images that people played as almost like bridge, like a game. It wasn't so much we're doing a reading, we're getting spirits. It might have been considered in the same realm as a Ouija board, something like that. But moving further forward, it became something that this elite group of people would do. And then there was this idea that if you were a reader of the tarot, or Tocci, whatever you want to call it, you were somehow had these special gifts that other people didn't have. No, that's just not true. The creator of the Rider-Waite decks changed some of the numbers around. So the journey from the Fool all the way through to the World, which is 0 to 21, changed. I think I've forgotten what two they are, but they switched them around. Radley discovered this is that I want to go back to the traditional rules and put them back again. But not only that, he changed the way the devil is, turned that into the ego card, and the way the death card was became release. Like we're releasing something and moving on to something else. Angel Tarot card was his original deck. I used this a lot. Guardian Angel Messages was another deck, and it simply is messages from your guardian angel. You can almost put these cards down and hear, feel, see, or at least I do, the guardian angels you have coming through and saying, this is what I believe you should be doing. This deck, Fairy Tarot cards, is one of my favorites. So where would I use each one of these? Fairy Tarot cards, I would say, would be for playfulness, groundedness, folks who are looking for something a little light-hearted, playful, because even the images are light-hearted and they're playful and they're fun. Three of Autumn, and you've got a fabulous little pixie right there. So it's just almost Alice in Wonderland type. Now here we got the Dreamer, a little nymphette fairy right there at Glastonbury Tor. So you have these delightful, like now the Empress is so gorgeous. She looks like Glinda, the Good Witch from the Wizard of Oz. I mean, these are just fun, playful cards. I would say if you're going into reading tarot for parties, for entertainment, take your fairy tarot cards with you. Guaranteed to have a lot of fun and a giggle with them. Let's see, have I left any of them out? No. That's it. What I will also say before I let this one go is this. The tarot and a traditional set of playing cards almost follow very much the same thing. Like here's a deck of regular playing cards. I think, what's this company that makes these things? Bicycle Rider Pack, like this. Right? So you don't necessarily have to know Gypsy Witch or any of these things. One of my first readings I ever got back in 1983, 4, somewhere in there, the lady used regular playing cards and she put them down in an order that completely made sense to her. The benefit of using regular playing cards as a tool for psychic readings is they're smaller and a little easier to handle. So, for example, if I were choosing clubs, they to me would be more associated with the swords. Is that right? Yes. Ideas, thinking, the mind type stuff. That would be that suit. Then you go to the hearts, emotions, relationships, would be the same as cups. And then you could move on into the suit of the clubs here, which to me would signify action, going to work, matters of the home and the hearth, things you've got to do, school, studies, business, banking, those kind of things. And then you have the suit of diamonds, which would be all things material. How I make my money, what I do with my money, investments, bills, that kind of thing. When it comes to how to interpret these decks, this regular deck, if you were using it for a reading, it would be, well, if I've got the king of, all right, if I've got the king of spades, spades being action, movement, this to me would be a boss man. This might be a bank manager. This would be a male type entity, a male type situation of the physical nature, right? If I were to say, okay, well, in the future, you have the 7 of spades. If spades is the action, 7 odd numbers represent a transition. It is a looking at what the number 7 is looking at what we've done, what we've accomplished, and then seeing if there is any way possible we can tweak this to make it even better. There's any room for improvement, right? If this were the 8 of clubs, then I would say, the 8 of spades, sorry. If this was 8 of spades, it would be my plan is in action, 8 being the symbol of infinity, and we're good to go. If we use this formula, if we use this way of working business, we've got nothing to worry about. Very, very simple. The numbers in the suits in tarot are very, very close to numerology. I like the odd numbers of being the transitions and the even numbers as being the balancers. So 1, we just got started off, ace. 2, duality. We've got what we need to go forward. 3, now we're adding a component to our what we need, and we're sort of retweaking where we need to go from here. 4, we have all of the support systems together to make something happen. 5, we have to take a step back, take a look, do a revision. Number 6, we've got harmony. Now we've got more things in place that can make things work. 7, let's look back to see how we make it better. 8, let's move on because we've now got this recipe and it's working. 9, we have all that we need to push it forward and expand even further. And 10 is the transition into expansion. Then you've got the Jack and the Queen and the King. Difference between Queen and King. The King represents authority. Follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the lessons learned. The Queen is more your nurturing, soft, divine feminine influence of the same suit. The Jack card, which would be the page, which would be the young entrepreneur or the young lover or the young, it's a youthful side of authority, a youthful side of that suit of cards, if that makes sense. I hope I have explained how I got drawn into card reading and what I used to interpret the cards in a way that anyone can do it. It's a question of letting go of the idea that you cannot. First and foremost, line yourself up with an author of cards that has the ability to teach and to lead and to coach. That way you get the best of both worlds. You can find a way to take a brief, short, usually very inexpensive course on how to develop these skills using the cards that they provide, and pretty quickly you're off and running. All right, my friends, I hope this has been helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. Bye.